And just like that, Michigan State football has a top 15 transfer portal class. And hey, Central Michigan, not to inconvenience you guys, but do you want to get around to the Connor Stallions thing, or?
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below on YouTube how you're feeling about all things Michigan State, especially this transfer portal class, and any questions, comments, hit us up at lockedonspartans@gmail.com. All right, gang, away we go. We had a lot of fun on the last show. If you were one of the few that joined us for the live show Friday night, that was all about the Jaden Mangham, Semaj Bridgeman. Okay, we're crossing rivalries left and right. That was a lot. We actually had a lot of fun. A lot more fun than I thought we'd have with the show like that. But if you're not trying to have some fun with just the wacky world of college football these days, you just drive yourself mad. So if you missed any of that, that was on last show. In the middle of all that, though, that kind of got lost in the shuffle here, and that's my fault here. Michigan State also got 2 more transfer commits other than Semaj Bridgeman. We talked about them at the end of that show, but that vaulted Michigan State up to number 11 in the 24/7 Sports transfer portal team rankings. Like, Michigan State, despite having headlines that they have imploded this offseason. Turns out those were greatly exaggerated. Jonathan Smith has been doing some slick work here. Again, 24/7 Sports ranking Michigan State at number 11. Now, there are 3 ways that you could climb the rankings in the transfer portal. It's very similar to the recruiting rankings, right, guys? You could do it by having just a sheer high volume of players coming into your program, right? Because the rankings are a combination of how many kids you have coming in, how good the kids are. They have a formula. They crack out a number, and that is where Michigan State gets the number 11 spot. But if you have a lot of kids coming in, like, for example, Colorado, who has the 8th ranked class, well, they have it because they have 39 transfers coming in. Michigan State just has 24, which is a high number. That's actually 10th most in this cycle, but 39 from Colorado. So you can climb the rankings like that. Or you could do it the Ohio State way. They just have 7 guys this transfer portal cycle, but they have 5 guys that are 4-star or higher. They have a really nice ranking. Now, Michigan State, they kind of blended the two, right? Just like we said, they have 24 incoming transfers. They also have some good, talented guys. They have 4 4-stars, Andrew Dennis, Aiden Childs, Wayne Matthews, and then Jack Velling being the 4 4-stars. And the talent average is 85.2. So if you took the average ranking of all the kids that Michigan State has gotten, and it goes as high as 96, that's where Aiden Childs is. That's where some of your 4-stars are, your borderline 5-stars are. If you average it all out, 87.2. Now, if you just took the talent, that is 25th in the nation. So I know I'm barking out a lot of numbers at you. You might already be dizzy right now listening to all this. You add in the high volume, you add in the solid talent. That's where Michigan State sits at number 11 overall. So where did they improve the most so far this offseason? Obviously, quarterback, right? I mean, just with Aiden Childs alone, you have a higher floor. He was rated so high by a lot of recruiting sites because of his ceiling. We're about to see that hopefully all unfold this fall, next fall. But where else in Michigan State drastically improve? Guys, I think you know where I'm going to go with this if you've been listening to the show. It's the defensive secondary. And we're going to talk about those 2 other guys that Michigan State picked up before the weekend here. We're talking Nikai Martinez and Jeremiah Hughes. Now, of course, those aren't the only 2 secondary guys picked up in the spring portal cycle. What Michigan State did in the secondary is they helped both instant impact need and future need all in that room right here. Like guys like Legend Cavazos, right? I mean, that's a North Carolina guy, some college experience at Ohio State. He played for North Carolina, injury issues last year. So we're going to see how that unfolds. But this is a kid that's versatile, can play safety, has played outside cornerback, which, by the way, hey, State fans, we already know this, but we need help in the cornerback room. And I think the coaching staff saw that as well. So they went and got Legend Cavazos. Also, Ed Woods, another guy. He just has 1 year of eligibility, very experienced. He was a top 5 pass defender in the Pac-12 per Pro Football Focus, if you want to take their word for everything. I mean, that's a good addition. That is instant impact. So you have Cavazos, you have Woods, and then you bring back a really talented Chance Rucker, a true sophomore next year. Those three guys vying for the starting 2 cornerback spots, and also guys with the future needs too. Now, this first guy, he actually is kind of like instant impact and future needs. We're talking Nikai Martinez, a guy that as a true sophomore last year for University of Central Florida, started every single game. He could play box safety. He could play free safety. He could play nickel corner. He could do it all, guys. He could probably sell you some 50-50 tickets too during the game if he gets a little bored. But this is a guy that's versatile. But what we like about him is that, yes, he does have eligibility left, just like Jeremiah Hughes, the other corner that you got from LSU, played in every game as a true freshman for the Tigers. Yes, primarily special teams, but did get some defensive snaps. Nevertheless, LSU kid, came from Bishop Gorman, really strong prep program. Those are 4 solid additions. And guys, before the spring portal cycle, we're talking about this room. Both, safety's fine. You feel good about Malik Spencer, Dylan Tatum. Of course, when Jaden Mangham was still around, you felt okay about that. But it's the depth, right? And the cornerbacks, it was both the starters and the depth. Michigan State, they shore that up. And that is a big reason how you get the number 11 class in the portal cycle. And they still got room to go, guys. They got like 5 or 6 scholarships still to play with. And that leads us into this next talking point here, and this is a leftover conversation topic from the whole Mangham saga on Friday. We didn't get to this part, and we're not going to rehash whether it's right or wrong and everything like that, but this is the angle I want to take here when it comes to the Mangham saga. Is I was asking myself a question over the weekend, just like any other, normal functioning member of society. I'm just asking myself college football questions on a beautiful Saturday. But I'm wondering, is this an example of good general managing work by Jonathan Smith? Is this good roster building by Jonathan Smith? And let me set the table for you right here. There's a show out there called This is Sparta. They just had Tony Lippett, RJ Shelton on with their host Jason Strayhorn and then Cedric Irvin. They had a great show just talking about the whole Wild West of college football, visiting your rivals, this, and that. Okay, so they're obviously talking about the Mangham situation. Someone by the name of Jaden Mangham. Now, you can probably connect the dots there that it's a family member of the Mangham family. Now, if it was someone that made a fake account to hop on, whatever. We're going to make sense of this one way or another. He hopped on and commented during their show that, quote, Coach Smith pulled Jaren's scholarship at the last second. Now, to me, last second means that there wouldn't be any time for him to enter the portal, find another home before the portal even closed, this, and that. But I digress, okay? That's a very drastic accusation right there that Coach Smith pulled the scholarship. All right. And then, hey, you know what? Jaren kind of being scooted out of the program, didn't sit right with Jaden. He transfers. He goes to Michigan. We all know that story, right? But let's just say that wasn't true, that the scholarship wasn't pulled away. There is one undisputed truth that can still make a thread of what we're talking about here. And that is at the very least, the coaching staff and Jonathan Smith telegraphed that, yes, Jaren, you are going to be the 5th string running back most likely this upcoming season, which is like a nice, not so nice way of saying you're probably not going to see the field, and it's probably a good idea for you to go see another program. Now, if it was as drastic as Jonathan Smith sitting him down and saying, your scholarship is ours, same result at the end. He leaves, that frees up a scholarship spot, but now another guy has left because, well, you didn't make his brother happy. That's the kind of the whole theory in this. So here is the question, rhetorical or non-rhetorical. What is a better use of 2 scholarships, guys? Is it using one on a 5th string running back that will be turning 25 this upcoming season? I think it's safe to say that his ceiling has been hit. This isn't a guy that the coaching staff can mold into a future player, obviously. And then another scholarship on a starter. A plus safety. Again, guys, I know we're upset at Jaden. He's a fine player. He's not the best safety since Sean Taylor, like the other fan base is claiming to be, but still, he's a starter and a nice player. Or is a better use of 2 scholarships using them elsewhere where you need more help, like a cornerback, just like we talked about, or future help, guys like on the defensive line, guys like at linebacker or the offensive line. So am I burning 2 scholarships just to keep one player happy right now, just so he can stick around for an okay season? And by okay season, I mean for Michigan State. Like, guys, let's have an honest conversation. I don't think we're going to be competing for a college football playoff spot this year. Is it worth burning up 2 scholarships to keep one safety happy for a season that might end with 6-7 wins? I don't know. Or am I just better off using those 2 scholarships to build for the future, addressing other needs that are more drastic than safety? So again, like if this was a college football playoff season, you know what? I actually might say keep the running back happy just to keep the safety here because, oh, we're going for it this year. You know, there is roses ahead of us. But guys, I don't know. This is year 1 of a rebuild. And it is abundantly clear that there were some holes on this roster, like defensive line, like linebacker, like cornerback. And that's just on one side of the ball that needs as many guys as possible in the portal. So free up 2 scholarships and use it like that. And look, like it is better to have Jaden Mangham than it is to not. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying like, oh, good riddance to him. But like it is better right now where Michigan State's at to have 2 helpful players instead of just 1. All right. Hopefully we can agree on that. If you don't agree, feel free, comment below or lockedonspartans@gmail.com. All right, guys, we're going to get into the Central Michigan riffraff, but first, need to talk your ears off about LinkedIn Jobs. When you are hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to go check out LinkedIn Jobs. Now, LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster. And guys, my favorite part, for free. Now, LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In any given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other job sites. So if you're not looking at LinkedIn, well, point blank period, you're just not looking at the right spot. So LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours with LinkedIn. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free. Again, I cannot emphasize that enough, for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions, you got that right, they apply. All righty here. Graham Couch over at the Lansing State Journal. Fantastic piece of work this week. Spoke with Alan Haller, the athletic director of Michigan State, as you guys know, and they covered on a lot of points, right? That was a big column that he did. They talked about NIL, transfer portal, just what it was like navigating life last September around October. We're not going to touch on that because everyone should go read that for themselves. I don't want to spoil all of Graham's hard work. What I will do is steal some of his work that he put out today because, even after that great column that he had over the weekend, there was still some B-roll footage that he put out there, including, is the first game of the season going to be on a Saturday or Friday? And then second, talking about the whole, hey, Connor Salians was on Central Michigan's sideline 8 months ago. Have you heard anything from those guys over there? So this is what we are going to talk about. Again, go read Graham's work. We tried to get him on for this week's show, but he wanted to take something called a vacation and rest and charge his batteries as if that guy wasn't just slaving over a hot laptop for the last however many months. I'm obviously kidding. Graham is long overdue for a rest, so hopefully he will be able to join us in the future to talk about the big piece. But right now, Central Michigan. Here's the quote from Alan Haller. Quote, "I'm interested in the outcome of the investigation, and it could impact our relationship with Central Michigan." That is, okay, we're going to get to that in a little bit here, but what was really just shocking, at least to me, maybe I'm naive, and I probably am. I probably should know how things go by now. That they also said, that Alan Haller also said that he has heard nothing from Central, nothing from NCAA, and then nothing from Michigan, of course. It has been almost 8 months, and they have heard nothing. And obviously nothing's come out to the public, but I thought at least maybe an exchange between the select departments has happened. Like, hey, sorry about that. Yeah, we're going to work on that. But it has been radio silent, according to Alan Haller, on that front. And I know, just Michigan fans want this to just go away, like all of their other problems that they have. But at the same time, claim they did nothing wrong. So I don't know how that works out. How, no, we're very innocent in this case. But please, I beg you, stop talking about it before I start crying. I don't really know how those dots are connected. But what I just still can't get over with the whole Central Michigan thing, and this is just PR 101, I think, is how did Central not just immediately find some random guy and put in front of the press or the public and just say, oh, no, this was him. No, this I know he looks like Connor, but it was actually this guy the entire time. Do you know how many people in Mount Pleasant look exactly like Connor Stalions, a guy that was caught on the sidelines, goatee, skinny white guy, sunglasses. I could drive up to the Speedway gas station in Mount Pleasant right now, find 3 guys inside the convenience store there that look just like Connor Stalions. Odds are, of those 3 guys, one of them is going to be a Michigan fan. Just go up, say, hey, of you 3, anyone want to take the fall? And say that you were a Central Michigan staffer, statistician perhaps, and we'll give you a free Michigan t-shirt and a $20 Speedway gift card for your troubles. Who here would want to do that? At least one would have to raise their hand and say yes, but no, here we are 8 months after, and we are so far beyond the conclusion of the investigation that they're still at, we don't know who it was on our sideline. They're still doing the whole, we're still trying to figure out who it was. We just don't know who it was. So let me speed up the investigation for you guys, because we did this over the summer. We did a lot of HR work for Michigan football when they brought Shemy Schembeckler and his great views on life to their program. So us as state fans, we already did that. Let's just do the central investigation too. It was him. Okay, it was Connor Stalions. We'll just go ahead and just, trot that out there right now. And now, how did he get on this sideline? That's probably step 2 of the investigation. And if you're bored at work, you're just on your phone at night on the couch, go ahead and just go up and down the directory of Central Michigan, click on some coaches, some board members, some personnel. I don't know, maybe see who worked at Michigan under the Harbaugh era at their time. And hey, maybe some dots could be connected there. Again, these are just thought starters. This is all alleged. I'm not saying any of those guys certainly did anything, but at this point, you're almost just better off saying who it was, who's complicit, or this gets like the Matt Weiss situation, where all you say is just computer crimes, and you just hope that it goes away, and you don't specify what that means. And, well, now there's a lot of people thinking, what the hell does computer crimes mean? That can be a very slippery slope to the point where you're just better off stating the truth as to what happened. Don't drag this out any further. Don't let this get completely squirrely in the minds of conspiracy theorists. Just say who it was. Let them pay a fine. Give them some weird 3-game suspension. Who cares? Just get this done. Like, this isn't going to just go away. Anyway, there is one gripe I have with Alan Haller, which I got to say has been doing a superb job in his time at Michigan State. I'm a big Alan Haller fan. Like, he's done a bang-up job. Love what he's done for football, a lot of the other non-revenue sports. But there's one gripe that I had with him in this piece, and that is saying, quote, it could impact future relationships. And I get why he said it that way. He has to be diplomatic, I'm sure. All right, like the idiot with a podcast microphone, I can just say what I want and how I feel. The guy that's buttoned up and wears a suit coat and is the face of an athletic administration at a university, he's probably got to be more cordial, right? But man, could impact future relationships? I think it should already have impacted future relationships. Now, how Amy Folin, the athletic director at Central Michigan, hasn't given you anything is absolutely insane. Like, I thought there would be some at least behind the scenes comment, but from the likes of it does not appear that is the case. And they, by doing that, I don't mean to be extreme here, but they are spitting in your face. They are basically calling you stupid right to your face and saying that, it's just going to go away. You'll forget about it. No, come on. We control the narrative around here. I'm sure it could have been anyone on the sideline like that. That is so insulting. I don't even know how it could not already be a severed relationship with that program. Like, it's one thing when the Maize and Blue local media just sits around and acts like everything blows over. But when it's between Michigan State and Central Michigan, we're going to want some results here. So here is what I would do if I was Alan Haller. First of all, I'm getting that money back from 2023. I'm getting that $1.75 million back from the game that they turn into a circus by lighting a clown on the sidelines. Okay. And also there's a future matchup with Central Michigan in 2027 and 2030. If this isn't wrapped up, this investigation isn't wrapped up by Memorial Day, we're canceling both of those. We are canceling both of those right now. And I know Memorial Day. Oh, Matt. Well, that's only a week. Well, you also had 8 months prior to this. So let's get to investigating. Let's get to talking to people, and let's wrap this up within the week because you have embarrassed this entire process, and we are not going to stand for it any longer. We will just cancel those games. And because that money is for schools that doesn't put other teams' spies on our sidelines. I don't think I'm overstepping by saying that. I know some Michigan fans will, get really grumpy about that and cry, oh, there's go Sparty crying about anything. Like, just try to imagine Ohio State putting someone on your sidelines when you're facing Hawaii for some reason. Like, you think that's just going to go over great? No, I'll tell you how things actually are. No, that would not go over great. And honestly, this goes for all sports too. I would cancel all matchups with Central Michigan, any competition. We're talking wrestling, gymnastics, baseball, because not only should you not be in bed with them anymore, and I don't care, it's a good travel day for them. We're doing them a favor by giving them a good non-conference against a Power 5 school. Like, never mind all that. Like, what is even the upside with facing Central Michigan, actually? Because if you beat them, whoop-de-doo, great, you're supposed to beat teams like that. But if you lose to them, kind of like baseball did, 10-0 earlier this year, you've just made their season. You've kind of embarrassed Michigan State here, and you've given them a bunch of end-of-the-year banquet fodder to talk about. So, no, I would be done with Central Michigan. They had 8 months to just make any ground, and they haven't even come out and said, sorry, guys, yeah, that was Connor. We're looking into it. No, they're still dummying up and saying, oh, we don't know who that is. We don't know who that is. Okay, well, we don't know who you're going to schedule in 2027 or 2030 because it's gone. It's done. Go get your money somewhere else. We will happily pay another school that isn't going to turn our sidelines into a circus. So that's my advice. Alan Haller, again, probably a great listener of this show. That's just my 2 cents right there. If you want me in for a chat, LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com. We'll set that all up. All right, guys, we got a little bit more. We're going to talk about the opening night game here in a little bit, but first need to talk to you about Yahoo Finance, friend of the program, Yahoo Finance, that is. Now, let's get straight to the point. You want to grow your portfolio to deal with the rising cost of inflation to pay off your debt or your mortgage. Pretty much anything standing in the way of you and financial freedom through your portfolio, right, guys? Well, with Yahoo Finance, you can get access to the news, the data, and the tools that you need in order to help reach that financial dream. Now, for over 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just looking for that little extra guidance, Yahoo Finance is giving you all the tools and data you need in one place. They are the number one finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analysis rating, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. Guys, when it comes to finance, you got to trust the number one financial destination, Yahoo Finance. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com, the number one financial destination. That is yahoofinance.com. Again, yahoofinance.com. Now, we are also just a little over 3 months away from kickoff against Florida Atlantic at Spartan Stadium on Saturday as of now. And with this quote, sure looks like that is going to stick to a Saturday game. This is from Alan Haller, again, from the Graham Couch piece. Quote, I know that's important to our community, and he means moving the game to Friday. But with the new TV deal, the flexibility for schools is not what it was. A lot of this stuff is determined, and we're told when and where and what time to play. But I do understand that that's important to our community, and it's something that I'm working on. Now, since 2011, it's kind of been a tradition that Michigan State opens up their season on a Friday night. There's only 2, or at least at home, the 2021 season open at Northwestern, but nevertheless, way more times than not, the season opens on a Friday night. Just the COVID season and the 2017 season, Michigan State did not open on a Friday night. But every other year, Friday night game. It's an awesome way to start Labor Day weekend. You go to the game, you go to your Labor Day destination right after in the wee hours of the night. What an awesome way to kick things off. But boy, howdy, it does not seem like that this will be moved to a Friday spot. Now, for those loyal Locked On Spartans listeners, you will remember last year we had a conversation like this because it was late April. We said, yeah, guys, it looks like the Central game might stick on a Saturday because the year prior, they announced the Western game was going to be a Friday sometime in February. And then, last year in late April, that's when they made the decision. But I bring that up to kind of point out that last year, The decision to move it from Saturday to Friday was made in late April, and the year before that, moving the Western game from Saturday to Friday, that was made all the way back in February. So, look, 3 months seems like a long time, but they do like to make these decisions way ahead of time. We'll see if it does get scooted to a Friday, but hey, look, hopefully this is another Locked On Spartans jinx. I would love for this game to move to a Friday, but yeah, as of now, based on what Alan Haller is saying, probably going to stick to a Saturday. Now, we are going to get to a listener email here, and the start of this email might shock you guys. I mean, seriously, I was very surprised with this. This is at lockedonspartans@gmail.com. This is from Scott. Now, the subject line is trying to be a Spartan fan. Now, it's a longer email, but with a lot of great discussion points, so just hang on for that. The start of the email that will surprise you. Here it goes. I have been watching your podcast since you stole our coach, LOL. Being an Oregon State fan for over 30 years, I just wanted to let you know what my opinion is on how you talk about the Spartans. I just assumed that every Oregon State fan absolutely despises Michigan State at this point for taking Jonathan Smith. Maybe that's just because I'm on Twitter too much, and there's that subsect of Oregon State fans that are way too vocal and just almost like gnats, just way too annoying. I am shocked that there's an Oregon State fan that's actually like rooting for Michigan State this upcoming year. So Scott, welcome aboard. Like, thank you for coming in and also listening to the show. Anyway, here we go. The opinion on how we talk about Michigan State here. As you are probably aware of Oregon State's Beavers, they had a total of 5 4-star athletes on their roster last year and just 1 5-star transfer. Jonathan Smith is a team builder, not a star counter. Every day I watch you broadcast on YouTube, and all you seem to care about is what is wrong and how much depth you don't think you have. If I was to believe what you are saying, my first year of trying to be a fan is going to suck. At Oregon State, we can't get the athletes to even come to the campus, let alone attract 5-star talent in droves. Yet, according to CBS Sports, Oregon State finished ranked 23rd in the nation, and Michigan State was ranked 86th. Honestly, I'm shocked we were as high as 86. I'm going to be honest there. Anyway, how did all those 4- and 5-star recruits help? I understand you are a national brand and are a little eager to have another winning season, but Stars and Eagles don't win football games. Teams do. I think and hope that you'll have much nicer things to say about the way Coach Smith builds the team this year and next year. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if I was a college student and was watching Locked On Spartans, I don't know if I would go there because of the attitude of how bad the team is going to be. Maybe you don't see it, but it is definitely there. I got a lot of comments on that. I'll get my one snarky comment out of the way. And that is, if a kid is basing his college decision off of my prediction that Michigan State will be in the Tax Slayer Bowl this upcoming year, in year 1 under Jonathan Smith, I truly question the decision-making of that person. But anyway, that's just the one snark that I had to get out of the way. And I am very glad I got this email because it's nice to hear from other listeners, and because I got to check myself sometimes. And it's clear that I have not been singing the praise of Jonathan Smith as much as I thought I have. So let me just get this right out of the way right now. I love the hire. I have loved Jonathan Smith even when he was just a candidate, probably before he was even interviewed in those shows in the middle of the season last year when we're talking, well, God, who's going to be the guy? Jonathan Smith was at the top of my list, like right behind Urban Meyer, which was kind of a pipe dream, but right behind it was Jonathan Smith. So I love the hire, still do, even a few months into his tenure in the offseason. He's shown he already has the chops, navigating a hectic portal window, addressing needs on the roster, dealing with players, coming back in the winter after having to fight for them, and then seeing them leave in the spring. I mean, I'm sure Jonathan Smith's head is just spinning 24/7. But why did I love this hire? Because this man can rebuild. All right, this is exactly what he did at Oregon State, and this is what Michigan State needs. Make no mistake about it, Michigan State is in a rebuild right now. That's what happens when you go back-to-back seasons with no bowl games, a lot of roster turnover. This is a rebuild, and rebuilds can be slow. Rebuilds can be tough, especially when you have Oregon, Ohio State, Iowa, and Michigan all in a row during your season. We talk about, hey, how we like the schedule in September and November, but October is going to be a gauntlet. And do you know who else thinks that this is going to be a rebuild in year 1? Las Vegas, the very smart people out in the desert, because look, the win total for Michigan State is 4.5 right now. I will say, just to, make sure that I'm not too negative of a Nancy, I I do think Michigan State goes over that 4.5. Like, I do think they win 6-7 games this year if they stay relatively healthy. That's going to be a big if, though. And this is why we talk about depth a lot on this show and the lack of depth and how Michigan State needs to shore up some depth at a few positions is because, my God. Now, if you're an Oregon State fan last year, you've missed quite the stretch for Michigan State, not just play on the field, but injuries too. Like, we were starting a former walk-on, not starting, I'm sorry, excuse me. We were playing a former walk-on offensive lineman at defensive tackle last year. We ended the season with our 6th string running back taking snaps last year. Like, we have learned here in East Lansing, unfortunately, that depth does matter. And do you know who else thinks that depth is very important too? And Michigan State had some depth issues this offseason that needed to be shored up? Jonathan Smith. I think he's proved it so far, because what were we kind of panicking about? Secondary depth. He just fixed that so far. Defensive line depth, because the last staff didn't really recruit that position. Okay, they went out, they got Ruquan Buckley, Jalen Satchel, Big Worm. So I think the coaching staff also realized that there were some depth issues too, if I could defend myself really quick. But on the recruiting portion, of course, stars do help. But just like Scott said, development is key here. Teams win games, not stars. And we've seen, us State fans, we've seen that development can win games. We saw it under D'Antonio. But solely relying just on developing 3-star players isn't always the answer. We've also seen that under D'Antonio in the later years, that yes, that can also kind of crater a program, so to speak. Well, that said, I do have more faith in Smith and the way they recruit and develop than I did with Antonio in the late years. But nevertheless, you get my point. You do need some stars, right, guys? Because Aaron Burbridge's, they were pretty important. Your Lawrence Thomases, your Malik McDowells, the William Golsons, the LJ Scotts. Those are 4-star, borderline 5-star guys that made a big impact here at Michigan State. But I will leave you with this. This is what I do like about Smith a lot versus the last staff when it comes to recruiting. The last staff got some good players, right? The 2023 class, though, just 16 kids. Just 16 kids, because they focused so hard on the 4-star and the 5-star visitors that, they neglected the bedrock of a class at places like Michigan State, the guys that are ranked 400 through 800. They focused so heavily on the 4-stars, the 5-stars, that when most of them went elsewhere, their plan Bs weren't even around because they didn't even host the plan Bs. They didn't make them somewhat of a priority. All of a sudden, it's November. They got 10 kids in the class, and it's like, crap, who else is still even out there that we can offer? And that's how they scrambled to the finish line here. What Smith has done, he has already started building that foundation with solid guys, again, in that 400 to 900 range. Guys like Charles White, guys like Damari Malone. It has been a good start to the class. Only 5 kids, but guys, that's going to grow. I would rather get those kind of kids early in a class than wake up Thanksgiving weekend and say, well, crap, there's only 11 kids because we kind of just neglected that portion and struck out on all the other 4- and 5-star guys. Time to scramble. So I do like what Jonathan Smith is doing. So there's got to be a blend. There's got to be some talent in the class, as well as finding guys that fit your system, making those relationships early. So I think there's a balance, so to speak, that we're going to be keeping our eye on, obviously, here in the next coming years, hopefully. But yes, Scott, truly, welcome to the Michigan State bandwagon fandom. Again, shocked to see a Beaver fan hop over to Michigan State, but maybe, again, I just spend way too much time on Twitter. But okay, yeah, no, truly, thanks a lot for the email. And guys, if you ever have a question, comment, concern, segment idea, you want a cocktail recipe, you want tips on your golf swing, well, for the last part, go elsewhere. But for everything else, lockedonspartans@gmail.com. All right, guys, we will be back tomorrow. Until then, continue having a great week. Love you all. Go Green.